Christians have made our next video for us. All we had to do was exercise our free speech, like these men established for America. Founder of our country, Thomas Jefferson, said, "Question with boldness even the existence of a God, because if there be one, he must more approve of the homage of reason than that of blindfolded fear." Or John Adams, who said, "The question before the human race is whether the God of nature shall govern the world by his own laws, or whether priests and kings shall rule it by fictitious miracles." Or Benjamin Franklin, who simply said, "Lighthouses are more helpful than churches." He was right, of course. Just recently, mccainisthrough has come under fire of the crazy Christian creationists. Those people who don't even know where they are. Freedom of speech is the most important liberty we have. Christians only want to silence all opposing opinions, just like the Crusades, where the Christians wanted to kill all the opposing religions. Religions have shown how dangerous they are to America, especially intolerant Christians. They are vile, anti-Americans who want to dictate. They see the separation of church and states that our founding fathers set up specifically for this reason as an impediment to their dictating and manipulating and controlling everything. There's nothing more anti-American. Christians are often hypocritical, violent types who want to dictate and control, like the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, or serial killers like Jeff Dahmer and Ted Bundy, who said, "I like the control," and Charles Manson, a devout Christian, and Hitler, a devout Roman Catholic, and of course the infamous George Bush, a devout Christian who couldn't wait for the UN inspectors to confirm that Iraq had no weapons of mass destruction at all.
We thought he had weapons of mass destruction. It turns out he didn't.
So he bombed them and murdered over 1.3 million people. 200,000 or more were children. Many Christians are immoral, intolerant, and hateful, driven by spite and hate and greed. If they had any faith in their alleged God, why don't they let him determine the ratings on YouTube? Of course, their petty attack was useless. We've re-uploaded the videos, and now they once again have 5 stars and 4 stars, as they had previously for well over a year, before the hateful criminal attack by the Christians. These kinds of dogmatic Christians are too stupid to know how YouTube works, or what kind of countermeasures can be applied to neutralize their hate and petty kindergarten-like retribution. All of the videos now are 5 stars and 4 stars. They haven't affected a thing. They have done one thing, though. They've raised our viewership enormously, giving it notoriety and drawing in more people, like a magnet. These right-wing crazies have tried to act vindictively, and it's only backfired on them. Our ratings are still at 4 and 5 and hardly affected at all. All of the videos will eventually be re-uploaded at no cost. YouTube has been enormously helpful and supportive, and there's always the chance of a class action lawsuit filed by the numerous people who these all-loving Christians have affected in a malicious, hostile way, all to try and silence freedom of speech. Here we can see their attacks on Google search, where you put in Christian VOTEBOT Attacks YouTube and bring up a number of articles that they've done. Here we see one where they vote-botted someone. And here we see creationists attack YouTube. They've done it some more, so much that they're the first thing that pops up under Google. Their malicious efforts have been futile. Here we see an article, again, where they've attacked and used their vote-botting to try and silence people and malicious intention to damage their videos and their reputation. Christian creationists are not bright people. They are malicious and vindictive and talk about spirituality. They're the most intolerant and hypocritical people on the planet. Not just because they don't understand anything at all, but since they don't understand anything at all and they believe the Bible explains things, which it doesn't since it's a book of fiction, they depend on it entirely and exclusively over reality. But again, their efforts are misdirected and all their energy goes into a waste of time. All the videos have been returned to 5 stars and 4.5 stars as they had been for a year. Their attack had no results. Again, except to raise our viewership enormously. Here we see the ratings and the number of users that have rated. Total number of ratings, ratings per view, and of course the average rating off to the side. We can see exactly where their attack took place. Ratings had been in the 4 to 5 star rating for well over a year, and then suddenly there's a spike of 1 star ratings. Hardly in accord with the regular workings and dynamics of YouTube. Obviously, a voter bot was used to make these 2 impressions, or depressions. Here we see the enormous jump in viewership, going up to almost 7,000 views a day from our traditional 2 or so. And the spike continued and has increased and has adjusted so that it's to the upside as a result of their providing huge notoriety by way of their futile attack, which of course was childish and hostile and highly vindictive, counter to all of the nonsense they preach. If they had any values or any judgment and any faith, of course they would let God decide, but here we see the annual views are increasing, and they've increased over the time with some spikes where we've reported some news stories that were very topical and folks had a lot of interest. So naturally those ones spike. And then you see the enormous spike here where the crazy Christians caused the notoriety and their voting bots went wild, making an enormous impact on our views, increasing them to almost 7,000 views a day, and the notoriety has helped secure that. So their attack backfired. Huge. Here we see the ratings again, and our average rating covered over time. Here's the period of time above. We have a chart to select the range. Here you can see that they were always in the 4 to 5 star range. We can expand it and look. See where some of the lows were when people didn't approve of a video. There we are, between 4 and 5 is the standard, with an enormous spike down, right at the time of the Christian vote bot attack, which failed miserably and increased our views. In the range between October 18th of 2009 and January 23rd, 2010, you can see our ratings were between 4 and 5 stars until the attack. No surprise that Christians are hypocritical, hostile, violent creeps. Their attitude is very queer, considering their phony beliefs. Here we see Dan Gilgoff's article from April of 2009, pointing out that most evangelicals and Catholics approve of torture in some instances. The hypocritical nature of Christians is sickening. It's the exact opposite of atheism, like the Japanese, who are atheists with an average IQ of 105, who refuse to build an atomic bomb, although they could easily build one with their technology. It's the religious who are intolerant. They're always trying to silence their opponent so they can dictate their values based on a book of fiction. All civilized countries eventually go atheist. Christianity is growing at 5% a year. Atheism is growing at 105% a year. So you stupid Christian fundamentalist idiots, just sit down and let other people talk. All you want to do is dictate, And if you can't win that way, you use a vote bot. Well, your childish, malicious, vindictive attack didn't do anything. We'll continue to post atheist videos that oppose the idiocy of Christianity, a religion founded on a book that's all fictitious stories and fables, many of which are very violent, hostile, and hideous. Patriot Thomas Paine rightly said, "Belief in a cruel God makes a cruel man."